Hello fellow AVuengers! Nuxt 3 is with us for some time already, and today I wanted to jump into its ecosystem of modules and plugins in my today's talk about the Headless in Nuxt 3. My name is Jakub and I am a senior developer and developer advocate at VueStorefront. If you don't know VueStorefront is a front-end platform for both headless and composable commerce. So we are helping companies build more performant and more scalable storefronts. Apart from that, I'm also an ambassador at Nuxt, at Algolia and Storyblok, and I will be using all these free tools in today's talk. So I cannot really talk about AVuengers, without mentioning the prime AVuenger himself, Mark Pax. So I wanted to invite Mark for my today's talk to just say hello. So just for you, here is Mark.
Thanks for inviting me, Jacob. I wish everyone at Nuxt Nation a great time, and AVuengers assemble.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to have you here. So let's jump into headless. So what does it mean? So headless as a concept means that, or the headless tools that we will be using, they don't come with their own user interface. They are just servers or software that we can communicate with by using the API. So for example, tools like Storyblok, which is a headless content management system, they don't have their own user interface. You are just connecting to Storyblok by using their API, by using SDKs for JavaScript, React, Vue, Nuxt, whatever. So you will be building, or you will be adding some content on Storyblok, and then in your website, for example, in Nuxt.js website, you will be fetching this data through the API. And it's quite similar for Algolia, which is a search and discovery platform. With them, you can add results to the index and then search this index from your website. So basically, from a Nuxt website, you can fetch the data from Algolia API about the search results. And it comes with not just search, but also the recommend API that can learn from what your customers or users are doing on your website. So if you have an e-commerce website, it can recommend to the customers products based on their previous search. So what we will be building today? Today we will be helping AVuengers defeat Thanos. So if you've seen Marvel Avengers, you know what I'm talking about. So we will have this beautiful website. It's not great in terms of styling, but I wanted to focus on the functionality first. So at the top, we'll have Thanos, who will be in our application from the very beginning. We'll have the button defeat Thanos that will be disabled until we will manage to gather or assemble our AVuengers in our application. So the first three AVuengers, so Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man, will be fetched from Storyblok, while Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye will be fetched from Algolia. And only when we will have 6 of them, so we will assemble all AVengers, we will be able to defeat Thanos. In terms of technology stack, I will be using Tailwind, but don't expect too much styling in this app, just to make it easier for me to create elements. I'll be using Nuxt Image as well to optimize some images, so that no matter what format of the image there will be, we can, for example, optimize it or make it as a WebP instead, so that the images will be lighter. I'll be using Storyblok Nuxt to connect to Storyblok from Nuxt application. And I will be also using the Algolia module for Nuxt. And I am especially happy to talk about this module because I am the core maintainer behind it. So I basically build this module / integration from scratch. So I'm really happy to be showing it to you today. Okay, so let's go to coding time, but just before we go to the code, let's just see what we have both in Algolia and the Storyblok. So in Algolia, when we have the search and we have the index, I have created the AVuengers index. So we will be using this certain name to fetch the data. And in here, we have 3 results. We have Hulk, we have Black Widow, and we have Hawkeye. So those 3 results are in Algolia, in one of the headless services we will be using today. Apart from the name, we also have the ID, certain ID of the character, as well as the image path. And this image path is like we will be fetching the image from the Storyblok asset management. So this is what we have in terms of Algolia. In terms of Storyblok, I have created this very simple website and some components. So character card will be our component today, where you have the ID, image, and the name, very similar to what we have in Algolia. It's the same data structure. I also uploaded some assets, so we have the images for the certain heroes. And when we go to the dashboard, to the content, sorry, and go to AVuengers, we will see right now the preview of our application, which is running in the background. So we have Thanos, but we don't have any AVuengers yet. So we also cannot defeat Thanos because this is disabled until we manage to assemble all of our AVuengers. So let's right now go to the code and see what we have here. So this is a very simple Nuxt application, and I only imported few modules as I mentioned before. So we have Nuxt image, and we also passed as an option domains to be able to optimize the images we will be fetching from Storyblok. So this is how you register that. I will also using the Tailwind CSS, and for Nuxt Algolia module, I will pass the API key and the application ID to be able to fetch the data from this headless service. Keep in mind also that for your application production environment, make sure to use environment variables instead of plain strings. In here, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm using strings. Similar to Storyblok, for Storyblok module, I'm also passing the access token to fetch the data. What else? In public, I have the image of Thanos. It's in the application because I'm not using any third-party service to fetch our Thanos character. And in components, I have character card. So this component is very simple. It only accepts 2 props, the name and the image. And it just creates this card of character. So we have the next image where we will pass an image to it, and we will change the format to WebP so that our images will be better optimized. And just below of that, we display the name of the character. So that's it for the code here. If we go to app.vue, we will see that we have script, template, and the style. Style is not important, it's only about the transition so that we will make Thanos disappear like in the movies. In terms of script, what do we have here? So we have the 2 refs, result and story, and don't focus on the structure here. It's purely because this is how the structure will look like for the data from both Storyblok and Algolia. This is why we in here. So these are empty for now because we don't have any characters yet. Just below that, we have the variable is Thanos defeated, which is false, of course, because he is not defeated yet. And we have a simple method called defeat Thanos, which just sets its is Thanos defeated value to true. So this is how it looks like right now. The first step, what we will do is we will fetch the 3 of our first AVuengers from the Algolia. So let's do it right now. Thanks to the auto import of Nuxt 3, what we can do here is just to use the composables, because both Algolia and Storyblok are using composables to fetch the data. So instead of this result here, what I will do is I will go const result and search. And I will take it or distract it from use Algolia search. And you see already the auto-completion of the module. And inside here, what I need to do is I need to pass the index of the index name of the index that I want to search through. So in our case, it will be AVuengers. So let's just pass it here, AVuengers. So in this result, what we will have is we will have this computed value of the fetch method. However, we still need to fetch this data. So what we need to do here right now is to take this search, and just below that, let's just go on mounted and do async. And below that, let's say await search. And in here, in this search method, we can send some params, like query params. So we can say query. And as we want to fetch all data for now, because we only have 3 results, and those 3 results we are quite interested in all of them, we will just pass an empty string. However, if you'd like to filter the results by the query, for example, if you have a search bar and you want to just fetch the results that are, let's say, matching the query, you can just put it here. But for now, as I mentioned, we will only pass the empty string. So if we save this and we go to localhost, we will see 3 of our AVuengers already assembled. However, it's still not enough to defeat Thanos because we need all of them. So what we need to do right now is we also need to fetch them from Storyblok. So what I need to do here is, instead of using this one here, I will go const story equals await use async Storyblok. And in here, what I need to do is, as a first parameter, I need to pass the name of the content page that I want to fetch. So in our case, it will be AVuengers. AVuengers. And as a second parameter, I need to pass the version. So it will be an object with the property called version. And inside of it, we will just pass a string draft. Let's save it. And right now, as you can see, we have all the AVuengers because we have them here. I already created those 3 components, and I already created those 3 elements with the characters. So each character has its own ID, own image, and own name. What is good about the Storyblok and the content management systems in general is that in here, what we could do is we could just modify the content based on our needs. So let's say that we want to have Iron Man first, we can just do it like this. And we have Iron Man first. However, if we go to our app, it won't work yet because we need to publish the content. So we need to save, publish, and when we go to our app, we will see that the Iron Man here is first. So what we need to do right now is to finally defeat Thanos because we have assembled all of our AVuengers. So let's just do it right now. And yeah, we have defeated Thanos. Nice. We also caused a massive layout shift in our application, but we don't care. We just saved the galaxy and we helped AVuengers save the world one more time. So let's just go back to our presentation. And if you'd like to see the code of this presentation, I published it on GitHub. So you can just go there and say headless-AVuengers and you will see all the code that I wrote here. If you liked the experience of the modules themselves, I would highly recommend you to check out Nuxt Security, which is the latest module that I have created for Nuxt. And it helps you build more secure Nuxt applications. So if you know Express.js middleware called Helmet, for example, this module uses very similar approach to adding security headers, but it also comes with several middlewares like rate limiters and request size limiters. What else? Cross-site scripting validation, and so on and so on. So basically, by just importing this module, you are making your app a bit more secure. If you'd like to reach me, make sure to check me out on Twitter, Dev2, YouTube, wherever else. I'm usually named Jakub Andrzejewski. With the only difference for GitHub, where I have the Barosian instead. But I'm mostly active at Twitter, so Jakub Andrzejewski, make sure to DM me if you have some ideas for the modules, if you have some ideas for building new projects. I'm always available there to just discuss what we can do with Nuxt and its ecosystem. Thank you very much for being with me today. And yeah, enjoy the rest of Nuxt Nation and see you next time.
Damn it, we were both muted. Me and the mutes. But now I'm like, is it Jacob or is it Jakub? Like, how do you properly say your name?
In Polish, it's Jakub, but
okay.
If you take both first name and the last name, I usually use, let's say, a bit transformed into English way, because Jakub Andrzejewski is much easier to pronounce for anyone outside of Poland.
Well, thank you for making it easier. Yeah, at the same time, like, well, I feel like the rest of us will get there. We'll get there and say it. Well, thank you again. And up next, do you have a preferred deployment solution for headless sites?
I would say Vercel. Both Vercel and Netlify. They are very simple to use. I wrote 2 or 3 articles about it. Like, it's usually they all have their own presets for your favorite framework, so it doesn't matter whether you use Nuxt, Astro, React, or anything else. Those 2 will probably have the presets already defined, and they will like figure out what is the kind of project you are using, and based on that configure the stuff, so that the only thing you will need to do, for example, in the case of such an application that I built during the talk, the only thing you will need to do is to just provide the environment variables for the access token for Storyblok, for example, and for Algolia. Everything else will be handled by the provider.
Wonderful. Thank you.
My own preparation is Vercel, but I can't really explain why. It's like one of those 2. They will
maybe someday, but you got to go with your gut. All right. What are some other popular image optimization solutions that you like?
So apart from the default one that you can use with Nuxt image, which I highly recommend you to go in almost all Nuxt applications, because they will make your life easier. So the default one is IPX, and the one that Puya was talking about in his talk just before mine. But apart from that, I really like the experience of Cloudinary, which is a third-party service, which also kind of works like the Storyblok or Algolia. So it is a headless service where you can store the data and just import it into your application. So if you are into like big image optimization and customization and transformations, Cloudinary will serve its purpose very well, because I saw the presentation quite recently from Colby Hayok, who is the developer experience engineer at Cloudinary, where he was showing what you can do with Cloudinary, and I didn't know that you can do such things with images, like blurring the background, adding something else instead, just from the code. I was expecting it to be done by Photoshop or things like that. So just to answer it, Cloudinary is a good place to go if you like to try a third-party service as well.
Awesome. Thank you. And then second from the last is, which framework would you like to create an API microservice?
So I came from the world of Nest.js, which is a Node.js backend framework. It kind of reminds me of how Nuxt is approaching the ecosystem, let's say, because Nuxt is a framework for Vue, which is very, very popular. So Nest.js is a framework for Node.js, which is obviously also very, very popular. So I would go with Nest.js. This is what I did quite a few times already. So the docs are very good for how you can build microservices with Nest.js. There are a lot of plugins that allows you to build those microservices very, very simply. You have plugins for event stores. You have plugins for connecting to the database, for the communication between the microservices. So things like Rabbit, Redis, you have it all as a part of the plugins, or the, I think it's called the packages there, not the plugins. So I would go with Nest.js. This is what I did, and it always went quite well.
Awesome. Thank you. And last question. What is something that you're grateful for?
So yesterday I said my cats, so I won't be doing that again. So I would say that I'm grateful for being here, because this is actually my first time to attend Nuxt Nation. So I was really sad that I missed the last one, and I'm really, really grateful for being here. Giving a talk about what I do, and also grateful to you, Jen, and to all the organizers of Nuxt Nation. It's really great
We
stuff.
appreciate you. And I'm so happy that we got to see the cat photos yesterday. Everyone, that should be like the maybe we can do that next year for the contest. It's like for Nuxt Nation contest, cat pictures. I don't have
Whoever
cat.
gets the best cat picture will win the Mastering Nuxt license.
There we go. I will have to share a dog picture though, but maybe I can find her some cat ears. We'll try. All right. Well, thank you, Jacob. Definitely appreciate it.